and Srinivas Garu, who invited me for this guest lecture and webinar. Thank you for introducing me. It's very happy to deliver my lecture on research, statistics in research, data analytics, and statistical computing. 1 second, I'm going to share. Yeah. Right. Today's topic is statistics in research, data analytics, and statistical computing. This is my topic for today's discussion. And this is a very lengthy topic, and I have chosen three topics like statistics in research, data analytics, and statistical computing. I just seen the other speakers gave a good idea about the research and data analysis. My concentration mainly on statistical computing and how to do analysis.
Sir, maximize the screen, sir. It is.
Yeah, it's actually maximized. So 1 second. Screen is on maximization only. You can see only the half part. Now, check now.
I think he has not started PPT at all so far. Maybe later it may come.
Yes, sir.
I started PPT now. Can you see the PPT full screen?
No, sir. Still,
No.
half screen is only visible, sir.
Your screen is only visible. 1 second. Share again.
Now it is available.
Now is it right?
Yes, sir. Now it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Statistics in research, and now let us discuss about the areas that use statistics. Now, statistics, the applications of statistics is not only one subject; is a multidisciplinary subject where you can apply the concept of statistics in physics, science, biology, demography, computer science, marketing, whatnot. Everywhere you can apply the concept of statistics. When you are talking about the statistics, when you are using the statistics, means that then itself you can say that you are achieved a high part. When you are doing conclusions or analysis with respect to the statistics, it gives a great inferences with the help of statistics. You can see here in this screen where the application of statistics in various disciplines. Now, statistics in research. So how the statistics is helpful in research? In every research, whatever research you are doing, you have to design the research. You have to go with the research problem. You have to collect the data. You have to analyze the data, and you have to interpret the conclusion in inference. So the role of statistics in research is to function as a tool in designing analysis and its data and drawing conclusion therefrom. Most research studies result in large volumes of data. So now you are talking about the data. If you go back for 10 years or 20 years back, the data is just a table, a structured data, where you have some rows and some columns. Today, at present scenario, if you talk about the data is of different types. It is not at all structured. Unstructured data, you have a lot of unstructured data. So what is unstructured data? Say, for example, you have WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages, video calls, video messages, videos, text message, text kind of data. Now, the big challenge is to analyze this kind of data. You have a conversation, you have a Twitter data. So this kind of data you have to analyze, and you have to come to one conclusion. This is really a big challenge. So you have large volumes of data. You have to classify this data. You have to tabulate this data. You have to do some statistical analysis, and you have to come to conclusion. So the analysis of this large volume of data is a big challenge. Classification and tabulation are good advances towards achieving this objective. However, we have to go a step further and develop certain indices or measures to summarize the collected and classified data. Only after this, we can adopt the process of generalization from small groups small groups to population. See, basically, the main objective of statistics is it is not possible to analyze the complete data which is available to us. Complete, not possible. See, we have large, tremendous data. So what we do in statistics is generally we collect the sample from the population. We do the research, we do the complete analysis of this sample, and we generally come to the conclusion of the entire population, how the population is. We are going to give the conclusions on the entire population. That is called as actually statistics analysis part. Now, what are the major parts will do in statistics and research is designing research, analyzing data, drawing conclusions about research. Looking only these three, but we have a background, very good background we have to do in this analysis of data. Now, two major areas of the statistics are descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So what is descriptive statistics? Say you collect the data. If, for example, you calculate mean, median, mode, that kind of values, it is called as descriptive statistics. Where inferential statistics, which is very important now for any kind of research, is drawing conclusions, drawing inferences. The drawing inferences means, as I said earlier, you collect a sample from a large population. You are going to study the population. You apply the proper statistical technique, and you have to analyze this data through some statistical software, and you have to come to the conclusion. So that is about the inferential part, where inferential part consists of many things. It is also called as sampling statistics, estimation, testing of hypothesis, everything. Now, descriptive statistics like frequencies, basic measurements, like I said, mean, median, mode, for what kind of data you calculate. So BP, average BP, BMI, average IQ. You'll say IQ, average IQ. What is average IQ like this? This comes under the descriptive statistics. Whereas the inferential statistics like hypothesis testing, correlation, regression, these all come under inferential statistics. Why it is called as inferential statistics means after obtaining the results, from the various computer programming or some statistic, we have to give proper conclusion, proper inference on the main objective on the sample and also the population. So we are drawing the inferences on the sample we have obtained through proper statistical technique. So it is inferential statistics. In the next slides, we'll see how we will draw the conclusions through SPSS and Excel. Descriptive statistics, like you all know, very well known, the measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, skewness, kurtosis, measure of a relationship, other measures which are very basics in statistics you might have learned in your earlier classes. Now, inferential statistics, as I said, it is consists of t-test. We have various t-tests: one sample t-test, two sample t-test, independent sample with equal variance, unequal variance, paired t-test. All these t-tests we use to see whether there is any significant difference before and after. Like that, we'll use t-test. It comes under inferential statistics, like ANOVA, analysis of variance, MANOVA, this multivariate analysis of variance, correlation, regression, chi-square, z-test. These are all the very important statistical tools for any researcher. Why I'm saying this is, even though you may not know the background of the formula of the t-test, but you should have the concept how to apply the t-test, because you have brain, system has formula. Once you with your brain you apply this data, so t-test you are applying means that's enough. The result will automatically get the result, and the only you have to do is to conclude, to draw the inference from the output you are getting from the software. So that is very important. The calculation part, earlier we have the manual calculation of how to do the t-test. So the formula x bar minus mu something. This is the formula manual calculation. Nowadays, manual calculation is not at all necessary. The only thing is, for which kind of data, which kind of statistics you have to apply, how to draw the inference. So this is very, very important. Drawing inferences or drawing the conclusion from the obtained result is very important. That we'll see in the next coming slides. Now, if you see the collection of data, we have, as I said, we have various kinds of data. Earlier, we have only some specific types of data. Now we have tremendous, enormous of data. This data is of different types: qualitative data and quantitative data, where qualitative data is nominal data. and ordinal data or interval ratio. This kinds of data is available. So qualitative data basically is gender, women, men, hair color, where the rearranging or ordering of this data is no meaning at all. So men, women, first men, next women, or first two women, next men. It's of no meaning. But men, women, that is a data. That's it. Hair color. In the same way, ordinal data. Ordinal data is like the first, second, third, first rank, second rank, third rank. So there is no meaning of doing the difference, first rank minus second rank, which is no meaning. So that kind of data is called as ordinal data. And coming to the very important part is the quantitative data, where the statistician, as a statistic researcher, the dealing with quantitative data is very important. The quantitative data is again of two types: discrete data, continuous data. So what is a discrete data? Say like a simple example, number of books, number of pens, buses, like this, where you countable number, 1, 10, 20, 30, 22, 20, like that is called as discrete data. Whereas a continuous data, where it is, you cannot say the countable number, like the height of a children. Height of a children is, you can say 5 feet 4 inches or 6 feet 1 inch, but you cannot say only 5 feet or 6 feet. If you can say if you say the middle point decimal also, that is called as continuous data. So dealing this type of data is a challenging and very important in statistical research. And more examples for this kind of qualitative and the types of data: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio types of data. And the examples are given like this: gender, religion, postcode, ethnic, satisfaction for ordinal kind of data, satisfaction, exam, grade, position in class, interval, IQ, temperature, score, CGPA. These all comes under interval kind of data. So what is interval kind of data? We discussed nominal and ordinal kind of data. What is interval kind of data? For example, let us see the temperature. So temperature, now the temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius, 0 degrees Celsius. We have the meaning for the 0 degrees Celsius also. 0 means there is nothing, but we cannot say there is no temperature. So that kind of data is interval kind of data, but the difference is meaningless. Say for example, we have 28 degrees Celsius here, and another place we have 25 degrees Celsius. The difference between 25 and 28 degrees Celsius is 3 degrees Celsius. We cannot say that is meaningless. But we have the meaning even for 0 also. We have a meaning that is called as interval kind of data. And the ratio type of is height, weight, time, age, grant, etc. So the difference is also meaning. Height of a two persons. So height of a one person is 6 feet, otherwise height is 5 feet. The difference is like that. Or you can do the ratios. We can do some calculation with that kind of data. So these are the basic kinds of nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio kind of data. Now, this is very important, sir. I want to tell you that is which test you have to apply. So in statistics, there are number of tests available. Test means in sense test statistic. You have a lot of data. So after having the data, you have to design the research. After collection of data, after cleaning the data is in front of you. Now you have to do some statistical analysis for this data, and after that you have to come to conclusion. So to analyze the data, what type of data you have? You have whether there is a categorical variables or continuous variable. Categorical variables means I just said ordinal, nominal kind of data, where you have the gender kind of the religion type of data. So what type of analysis you have to do? You have to do jet test for proportion, 2 sample jet test for proportion, chi-square test. This kind of test statistics only you can perform. Whereas here, if you see the continuous variable means the data which is of different kinds, discrete and continuous variable kind of data, where how many samples you have. So it is one sample population, or 2 sample, or more than 2 samples. So what is this 1 sample? Say for example, you have collected the fever from a patient. You are in a hospital. There are 10 patients. 10 patients, you have collected the fever of these 10 patients. Now you want to check whether this fever is significant or not, whether there is any in general fever. The general fever, say for example 95 or 96 is the general fever, whether this 10 patients fever is equal to this population figure or not, 95 or not. That is means you have only one sample and you can go with that one sample and you can apply for the one sample t-test. Or if the sample size is more than 30, say for example, I said only you have collected only 10 samples. That is sample size is less than 30. You can see here. Sorry, you can see here the sample size is 30. Where less than or equal to 30, you have to apply one sample t-test. After analyzing this one sample t-test, you can come to conclusion whether this is equal to the sample or not population. Now, in the same way, if you have collected the information for more than 30, 50 or 100 samples for one sample t-test, you can go with the one sample z-test. The advanced with the one t-test, one sample z-test. Again, I'm saying again, so the manual calculation is not necessary. The only thing is you have to apply one sample t-test or one sample z-test. That is very important after collecting your data. So if it is one sample t-test, yes, apply the go with the Excel or SPSS or some other software. You take the data, you just plug in the data, and you just within one click in 1 second you will get the result. After getting the result, you have to come to the conclusion. So like this one sample test. In the same way, two sample test. Two sample in example means in the same hospital, you have say for example some 20 patients. Some 20 patients came with some BP or fever like that. So first 10 patients you have not administered any drug. For the another 10 patients, you have given some crocin or some other medicine for the 10 patients. Now you have to compare the two samples. Whether these two are significant or not, that is whether the drug is effective or not. You can go with the paid samples also. Is a paid t-test. In the same way, you can go with the, if it is independent sample which is less than 30, you can go with the pooled t-test. In the same way, two sample z-test also you can go. The only thing is after collecting the data, you have whether it is one sample or two sample or more than two samples, depends on the size of the sample, you have to apply the test statistic. And then same way, if you see the last one, more than two samples, which is now the challenge is only this one, ANOVA, analysis of variance. That is, if you have only two samples, say for example, drug A, the difference between or the significance between drug A and drug B. You have two drugs, drug A, which one is significant, or whether drug A is more significant than drug B, or drug B is more significant than drug A, or there is no significant difference. That is two sample t-test. If you want to compare more than two drugs at a time, I have 10 drugs, drug A, B, C, D, and so on. I have 10 drugs. I have to compare these 10 drugs at a time, and I have to come to conclusion whether there is any significant difference between these drugs or not. Then you can go with the ANOVA test. So for every kind of data, there is some statistical analysis. For every kind of whatever the data you get to me, I'll do some statistical analysis. But before that, before doing statistical analysis, you have to clean the data and you have to see which is suitable for the data. Now, these are the commonly used statistical tests. Like if it is nominal kind of chi-square test, chi-square McNemer test, Cochran's Q test, depends on the samples. Depends on the level of measurement for the variable, we can use the test statistics. Like for ordinary variable, Kolmogorov-Smirnov one sample test, Mann-Whitney test, Wilcoxon test, Kruskal-Wallis test, Friedman-Ranks test. I'm just saying the words. I can understand that you may not quickly understand these test statistic names, but I'm just saying these are all the available test statistics for which you can apply for your data, and you can come to the conclusion just to have an idea. Like for interval and ratio, sample t-test, two sample t-test, pair t-test, ANOVA, repeated measures, ANOVA, like this. There's a big list of test statistics for analyzing the data. Now coming to the second part of my topic, which I very much interested, is data analytics. My interest is data analytics. This is a generalized subject, data analytics. What is data analytics? See, now we are in 21st century where the data is fuel. 21st century, big data. Further, we will call it as big data. So why it is called as big data? I'll show one slide. You can understand this. You just look at this slide. The data we generate every minute. We means every individual person. If you at 1 minute, if you see, so we'll always see some Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp. Morning we'll say good morning. Good morning, how are you, had breakfast, everything, how are you when you are coming to college, everything will post messages. Do anyone think how many messages, how much data we are generating per minute? See, for example, if you see a Facebook like, we see a post, some friend posts some selfie photo, we'll put a like. So how many posts we have? 41,66,667 likes per minute. Now you imagine this for the 60 minutes in a day, 24 hours multiplied by 60. See how much data we are generating. Everyone is interested in Instagram, see Netflix, Reddit, Amazon. See, this is the tremendous of data. We are in a thinking of that only some 100 rows and 200 rows of data, analyzing that data and interpreting that data. But if you come out of that well, you see that this much of tremendous of data we have available in market and data generating. Now you see this one, the global internet population grew at 18.5% from 2015 and now represents 3.2 billion people now using internet. This is a very, very huge number. Very huge number, and this kind of data is generating every day. Data around the world. See, 90% of the world's data was created in the past 2 years. The data which is available right now is generated 90% of the data in the past 2 years. 40 zettabytes of data. What is 40 zettabytes? The next slide we'll see zettabytes of data. 3 billion online. So why I'm saying this one is we have large kind of data, large tremendous of data, and our challenge is to analyze this structured and unstructured data. Earlier, what we have is only structured data. Now we have is unstructured data. Why it is unstructured data? See, this is unstructured data. This entire Facebook data, or what per minute I'm saying this generate. This is all unstructured data. You have Twitter messages. So I did one analysis, a sentiment analysis. I have one tag. Say for example, Olympics is my tag. Now, by using that tag, I can extract all the tweets. I can extract the tag, and I can draw the inference with that data, text data downloaded from Twitter. So with any tag, I can download the data. I can do some text analytics, and I can come to the conclusion what is the sentiment behind this Olympics, or what is the sentiment behind the elections, like that. You know, previous US elections, based on the Twitter, some analytics has been drawn, and every day the tweets are being analyzed, and they come to the conclusion what is which the sentiment is on which week to some president or some other opposition, like this. So the analysis of this text is also very important in this present day. Now, what is big data? What makes data big? So, like statistics, big data, there's no single standard definition, but generally big data is a data whose scale, diversity, and complexity require new architecture, techniques, algorithms, and analytics to manage it and extract value and hidden knowledge from it. So that is with, as I said, like Twitter, you may think that what data can be analyzed from Twitter. See, if you see this text, large kinds of data, large text data, I can do some statistical analysis. I can come to one conclusion. That is the large scale of data with the different boundaries and different complexities. I can do some analysis with the new statistical algorithms, and I can come to the one conclusion. Now, large data means in our phone we have the RAM, 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, 3 GB RAM. Now come to see bronobytes, 1 yottabytes, zettabytes. See, 1000 zettabytes is 1 yottabyte. We have 40 zettabytes of data available right now, which there is, even if you can analyze this 1% of the data which is available in online today, you can earn crores of rupees. But not even 0.001% of data is analyzing by the market. There is a big challenge to analyze this large kind of data. Now you can see how this data has 2010, 2012, and 2015, how much trillions volumes of data is being generated by us. Now this is the four V's of big data, as we discussed earlier. Volume is a scale of data. Velocity is analysis of streaming data. If you see in one single car, now we are in the market like BMW or Benz or some other car where we have hundreds of sensors in one car, and these hundreds of signals are being analyzed and can become to the one proper. We are getting even the driverless car in a proper road sensors and horn sensors. Everything is sensors collecting data, analyzing data, and giving proper way In the same way, variety, different forms of data like Facebook data, Twitter data, YouTube data, and some other data, analyzing that data, veracity, uncertainty of the data. So these called about the 4 V's of data and applications of big data. What not? Big data, applications of big data analytics is everywhere. Smart healthcare, homeland security, traffic control, manufacturing, multi-channel, telecom, trading analytics, search quality. I'll say one example in pharmaceutical sector where the application of big data is available. Earlier days we have this medical shops, right? Medical shops, you take one medicine, say for example, one medicine, some X medicine you have taken, and this is automatically entered in the system. So whenever the data is entered in the system, the entire log of that medical shop, what medicines are being used, what medicines are moving fast. So based on that data, a person sitting in the head office can analyze what is going on. Say in particular area, so in Andhra Pradesh, in particular area Vijayawada, the medicine like Crocin or some other medicine, I'm not aware of every medicine, I'm just saying an example. Say in Crocin are moving very fast, then he can come to the conclusion, the person sitting in the head office, that there's something is happening in Vijayawada because of more particular medicine is moving on. So since it is going through online, that analyzing of big data, and can come to the one conclusion, say the medicine of particular disease moving fast. So we can come to conclusion that in that particular area, some disease is going to coming, or it is some disease exists in that particular place, and proper action can be taken by the government. These and at the same time, earlier what happened is in my particular medical shop, every time a person comes from other place, what is the stock today you need, what stock you need, some Crocin, some B complex, some vitamin tablets, everything here he will be noting, and you'll get giving the order after 2 or 3 days. Now it is not there, because every data is entered online. The data can be analyzed, and what stock is available, what stock is not available. As a whole, Vijayawada, what data is required. As a whole, Andhra Pradesh, what type of stock is required, which stock can give more within fraction of seconds. You can imagine the Amazon. You are ordering in Amazon is a particular product. If you are ordering in Amazon, it will clearly say how many days it will give you. So it is completely a statistical, some algorithms behind it, where no manual intervention, everything goes with some analytics. That kind of big data applications are there. And if I start telling, there are many examples where application of big data are there. I just gave some examples like customer analytics, compliance analytics, fraud analytics, operational analytics, where you have the good number of applications. Big data in communications, big data for retail, healthcare. So I explained this one I'll read out. Healthcare, the applications of big data. The main challenge for the hospitals with cost pressures tightens is to treat as many patients as they can efficiently, keeping in mind the improvement of quality of care. Instrument and machine data being used increasingly to track as well as optimize patient flow, treatment and equipment used in the hospital. It is estimated that if 1% efficiency gain could yield more than $63 billion in the global healthcare savings, just 1%. That means, so if you have this large kind of data, if you can analyze this large kind of data, at least 1%, you can earn crores of rupees, crores of billions of rupees like this. Now, this is about the statistics and research and data analytics part. Very short, I completed that one. Now coming to the statistical computing. So statistical computing, what I'm going to do is we have various statistical softwares available in market. What is the statistical software? Specialized computer program for statistical analysis. So there are various kinds of statistical packages available in the market. One is open source statistical package. Open source statistical package is nothing but a person develops the source for analyzing the statistics tests or something. This source code is also available open in the website, so you can download that software. You can modify the source. You can do the analysis. The best example is R software, which is a leading statistical open source software. Is R programming, R Studio. which is now, even I'm also using this R statistical software, which is an open source software. You can change the source code. You can use it. It is free to public. Now, public domain statistical packages. Public domain statistical package is basically not a software. It is a web-based software. You have to log into the website. You can use the statistical software where, like, governments, US government, Indian government, some governments for census data, to analyze this data, they'll develop some package that is available public domain. You cannot download, but you can use freely that public domain statistical software. Now, freeware statistical software. What is a freeware statistical software? Freeware means the source code is not available to the public, but you can download. You cannot change the source code. You can download freely. You can use the statistical software. Just plug and play. That's it. But open source software, not only plug and play, backside of plug, you can change the wires also. So according to your convenience, customization is also there in open source, but freeware, just plug and play. You input the data, you'll get the result. You do some conclusions with that result. That is freeware statistical packages. Now, coming to this last one, proprietary statistical packages, where this is a licensed statistical package like SPSS, Minitab, SAS. These are all under proprietary statistical package. To use this statistical package, you have to pay something to the company, and there are wonderful number of plenty of statistical packages which are available in the market for our statistical analysis. Now, I just gave some examples of open source statistical packages. ADMD, DAP, FITIC, OpenAPI, SCI-PY, stats models, PSPP, and R. This is what I'm saying are a free implementation of the S language. It is an advanced to this S language, R software, which is freely available, open source, and anyone can use without paying a single NP, and you can analyze lakhs of data at a time. Now, statistical software, freeware statistical packages, where you can download and use. Just that's it. You cannot change the source code. It is Winbugs, WinPay packages of package statistical programs for epidemiologists, etc. And the statistical software, public domain. As I said, public domain. See, US Census Bureau and ICF International, they have developed some software. Basically, they developed for the government purpose, like for census data, for analyzing, tabulation, mapping, and even it is available to the public, because I have the data for India. I have census data. I want to know specifically Vijayawada, what is the population, what is the male population, female population, gender ratio, age below, like this. If I want, I can go to directly to the census data, and I can click the state wise and everything I can. So that is called as a public domain software. So EPI info, Atlanta, Georgia. So these countries develop their own government-related softwares, and some statistical techniques available in these softwares also. In the same way, X12 ARIMA model developed by US Census Bureau, and now statistical software proprietary. As I said, you have to license the softwares like a GraphPad, GraphAir Prism, SPSS, MATLAB, SAS. These are all the proprietary. In the sense, you have to pay the fee or license. You have to buy the license for doing statistical analysis. Now, so today I'm going to show how to do statistical analysis in Excel as well as in SPSS. I'll take one or two examples, and I'll explain how to do the statistical analysis in Excel as well as in SPSS. Many might have idea how to do in Excel as well as in SPSS, but I'll explain and how to interpret this data, so that which will help you in further research, in further analysis also. This is a little bit knowledge. That's it. What I'll do is I'll go with the regression analysis. So what is a regression analysis? A regression analysis is a powerful statistical tool for researchers when we have a dependent variable and independent variables, where the dependent variable depends on this independent variable. Whenever the change in independent variable, we can see the change in the dependent variable. For that kind of analysis, we have to do the regression analysis. So the first point is prediction. What you can do with the regression analysis, you can predict the value of a dependent variable based on at least one independent value. Something is dependent on something, so which means X on Y or Y on X, which means that there is one dependent variable. In the same way, one independent variable. So if you have many independent variables, there is a change in independent demand and supply. So demand and supply. When you have more demand, there is supply will be increasing. Supply will be increasing. Like that, the regression analysis can be worked out, and you can draw one equation when you come to one equation with this data, and based on that equation, you can predict the future values also. Impact of change. So it explains the relationship of independent variable on the dependent variable. Popular regression models are linear and logistic regression, most widely used regression techniques. Important factors in regression analysis: number of independent, dependent variables, and shape of regression matters. So actually, before applying the regression analysis, the main thing we have to do is whether there is any relationship between the two variables. Say, for example, I am taking two variables X and Y. So for going with the regression analysis, the first thing I have to see is whether there is any correlation. If there is no relation, there is no point in going with the regression analysis. So therefore, correlation is also important for doing some regression analysis. Now, regression, it provides estimates of a dependent variable from independent variable. Multiple regressions extends to two or more variables. You can apply, say I said, only one dependent variable, one independent variable. Only one dependent variable, multiple independent variables. It is called as multiple regression. You can go with the multiple regression also. And that is about the regression analysis. Now let us take one example. Now I have this data available with me. I have taken this data from University of Texas Health Sciences Center. You see the data very carefully, where you can see here pregnancy weights of mothers and birth weights of infants. This is the data now. You can see here, I have taken 25 cases where I have taken mother weight in kgs, and infant's birth weight in grams. Mother's weight and infant. These 25 cases are cases where I want to identify the candidates for fetal alcohol syndrome. So fetal alcohol syndrome is generally in other countries, even females also, they take some alcohol. They take alcohol as a usual routine habit. So when the mothers before giving them birth, they take the alcohol, means it affects the newborn babies. They'll affect with the fetal alcohol syndrome, which means that their physical issues or mental issues, like they're less weight, they are or abnormal weights, some brain issues like this, it will occur. So they have taken this 25 cases of data, and now we have to fit a regression line, and we have to fit some regression line, and based on this regression line, if you take a particular mother's weight, and after taking particular mother weight, you have to get the infant weight, and you have to conclude that whether this infant is affected to the fetal alcohol syndrome or not. For this, I have taken this example. I'll show in SPSS and Excel as well how to do the regression analysis. The data in our case studies contains 25 cases in which the mother's weight in kilograms and the infant's birth weight in grams. The question concerns whether you can find some relationship between mother's weight and the infant's birth weight that allow you to identify likely candidates for fetal alcohol syndrome, which means the newborn babies are fetal alcohol syndrome or not. This data is I have taken from this Health Science Center, Texas University, Texas Health Center. Now, these are the points which we are looking about. Why would we such a relationship be important? How could such a relationship between mother's weight and infant birth weight help you? So yes, there is some relationship between mother's weight and infant weight. If the mother is overweight, the infant may be also overweight. But you want to check for malnutrition with regard to the fetus. You are looking at the fetal alcohol syndrome. What's our actual problem with this data? What we need this analysis. So how to do this analysis? I'll just take Excel. Just hold on. So if you have any queries also, at the end of the session, we can have those queries. Can you see this Excel sheet, everyone? Can you see this Excel sheet?
Yes, sir. We can see that.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Now I'll take this example for SPSS. Yes. Okay. This is the example. What 25 cases. I'm sure everyone knows Excel with basic statistics, and you have one option. This also you might know. You have one option in Excel where you have one statistical package exclusively called as data analysis. If you don't have this tab, you can download this tab in from file. See, like here, file, and this options. And from options, you have this add-ins. Add-ins, you can see manage Excel add-ins, go. And here you don't have the tick mark. Now you have to put this tick mark and press OK. If you do this, you will have this data analysis tab available in your Excel. For any version of Excel, you will have this data analysis toolpack. So why this data analysis toolpack is important is even though if you don't have this SPSS or SAS or MATLAB or any other proprietary softwares, with the Excel, MS Office is Excel is available with this statistical softwares like you can see ANOVA single factor, ANOVA correlation, covariance descriptive statistics, exponential smoothing, F-test. Like this, many statistical tests can be performed using Excel itself. You no need to go to SPSS or some other softwares also. But why it is important going to SPSS also, I'll explain. But for some moderate or medium moderate level of statistical analysis, Excel is sufficient, like t-test and everything. Now, how to do regression for this data? Now you can see there are 3 columns here. One is case number, mother's weight, and infant weight. Now this is the data. Now what is the independent variable? What is the dependent variable here? So here the independent variable is mother's weight. We call it as independent variable mother's weight. Dependent variable is infant birth weight. So always the infant birth weight depends on the mother weight. Now how to do the regression analysis? How to fit the regression analysis is just go to this data analysis tab and you select regression. So before going to regression, I'll just explain this how you'll get the descriptive statistics also, just to have an idea. See, descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics includes this mean, median, mode, and everything. Also, you can get summary statistics. Just I'll take mother's weight as well as infant birth weight. I took all the data here and labels in the first row because I have a heading in the first row. I have a heading in the first row and output range. So I will put my output here only somewhere here. And what I required from this data, I need summary statistics. Summary statistics means see how you will get. So it is coming. Now we got the conclusion, we got the analysis just in one click. Otherwise, if you want to calculate the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, everything, it takes some time. I'm sure you can calculate, but it takes some time. And about the perfection also may be doubt. Now, if you see for infant's weight, also for the birth weight, you got all the values. For mother weight, mean is this one, standard deviation, median, mode, everything you got in just one click away. Just one click. The only thing is, you know how to go with this data analysis tab, how to enter the data. That's it. You don't require the calculation, how to calculate mean. What is the formula for mean? What is the formula for variance? Everything may not require. But you should have some knowledge of what is mean, where it is applied. What is variance, where it is applied. So background, the calculation part may not be required for the research, but you should have the good mind, good thought of how to apply this data. Now, coming to this again, let us go with the regression. Yes, regression. So I've taken this, you select the regression and press OK. You can see this input Y and X. So here, what is Y and what is X? Y is the dependent variable, X is the independent variable. As we said earlier, mother's weight is independent variable and infant birth weight is a dependent variable. Obviously, the birth of an infant depends on the mother. So I'm selecting this infant Y range. See this, I'm selecting this all these 25 values. and input X range. See, I'm selecting this X values, and I have labels in the first row. You can see here, I have the labels in the first row. So I put tick. Now where I should put this output? Yes, I'm placing my output somewhere. I put output here and just press OK. You can see before pressing OK, you can see this residual plots, standard plots, line fit plots, everything. So you have various outputs. It can be generated from this analysis, but you should be able to understand where this is used, where this can be applied. Okay, right. So I just pressed OK. Now see, in a fraction of seconds, you got this output in a fraction of seconds. So to use this fraction of second to get this fraction of output, the only thing is, yes, for my data, I have to apply regression analysis. That is very important. Now, this is, see how much output you have. This is completely output of this regression analysis. Now, summary output. So regression statistics, multiple R square, adjusted R square, standard R observations. So total 25 observations, multiple R. So this is coefficient, multiple R square is very important for any kind of analysis. R square, which explains the variance, or which explains the variance of the entire regression analysis or the entire statistic. See, R square value is generally from 0 to 1, or to simply say 0 to 100. So this is 27%. Now, if you see, this is 27% explained. The higher the R square value, the best is our analysis. So whenever you have the highest R square, the most variance is explained in this R square. Now here we have the minimum 27 is bit low, not I say good. Okay. Now coming to this R, this is R. R means correlation coefficient between the two variables. As I said, there should be some relation. If you are going to regression, means the first and foremost thing you have to important is correlation, whether the two variables having the correlation or not. Why I'm saying is, whatever scrap data you input here, you will get the result. This Excel or SPSS don't have brain. You have brain. Why I'm saying this is, what kind of data you are inputting is important. So you input whatever the scrap. Say for example, X, I said number of buses in each district, and Y, I say weight of a persons. There is no relation. But if you enter the data, you will get some summary output, some regression, some ANOVA, some interpretation, some regression equation. This Excel or SPSS or any other software, generally they don't have any brain. We have a good brain, so we have to apply the proper data into this technique. Now this R explains 0.52, which means there is some correlation between, the correlation value lies between -1 and +1, which means there is some positive correlation between the two variables, mother's weight and infant weight. So which explains that we can find the regression equation for this data. So we find the regression equation, and this is ANOVA. See, actually, when we do regression analysis manually, we only concentrate on these two values, the intercept and the coefficient value. These two are very important. Based on these two only, we'll find the regression equation. So you can see here, I wrote the regression equation. This is the regression equation. You can see the PPT slide, right? This is the regression equation, fitted regression equation. So with this data, by using Excel.
PPT is not visible, sir. Excel is visible.
Sorry?
Excel is visible, sir. PPT slide is not visible.
Okay, okay. I'll show it. Okay. Anyway, Excel is very important now. So these two values are important. Based on these two values, we can write the regression equation. Y is the dependent variable. Y is equal to, the intercept value is 1501.304 plus the coefficient value 30.79 into X. This is the fitted regression equation. This fitted regression equation is very important for further analysis. Why I'm saying this for further analysis is, you have a, for example, you have a mother weight. Where is the mother weight? Here we have, you have one patient with a mother weight, say for example, 65 kgs. So you can put the 65 kgs here, and you can come to the conclusion of what could be the baby infant weight. That is the estimated value. Why you will get the estimated value. Whatever X value you can put, maybe the other weight is 100 kgs or 2 or 150 or 80 or 70, whatever the weight you put, you'll get some Y value. That is the predicted infant weight value. If this predicted value is not in the limits, normal limits, generally, if you go to a lab for any test, say for example, some sugar test or some other test, there will be some normal range, lower and upper. If the particular value falls in the normal range, that is normal. That means you don't have any sugar or something, some value. But if the value is above the range, then you say that some problem is with you. Some white blood cells low or high or some, we will say. In the same way, if the value is inserted in this X value and the value of Y exists, and if is not in the normal range, you can say that you can come to conclusion that that infant is fetal alcohol syndrome. Therefore, proper necessary action has to be taken. So in that way, you can come to the conclusion. So you have the data, patient's data, you have the statistical package, you just input the data, you should have some knowledge how to interpret this data. That's it. You can come to the conclusion. So in this way, you have to do this regression analysis in Excel. Now, we'll do the same analysis. How to do this analysis in SPSS? Let us take in SPSS also. Let us do this in. I'm sharing that screen also now. 1 second. Now, can you see this SPSS software screen? IBM SPSS.
Yes, sir, I can see it.
Right, very good. Now, now the same concept, now the same analysis, I'll show how to do in SPSS software. I have this software, and this is more advanced when compared to the Excel. So Excel, for some cases, you can go with the Excel for basic analysis. For basic analysis, you can go with the Excel. But for the advanced analysis you want, for advanced statistical techniques, you have to go with the IBM SPSS or some other proprietary software where you have a large variety of kind. Now, if I press my SPSS tab, it will be open like this. It is a main window. Whether I have to open some existing file or type in data or run the tutorial like this, I just type in data, I pressed OK. Now this is my window available. This is data view. This view is called as data view, and this is called as variable view. There are two views. Now I have to open the data which is related to Excel. I'll open that data. Here I have an open window, open data document. So I press the document. It is there in desktop. So that is an Excel document. So I can download various kinds of documents here. So I'll take this Excel. So since my data is in Excel, I'll take from Excel. If I just press this Excel sheet, and in which sheet I have this data is on sheet 2. I have data, the same data I have in sheet 2. So just select the sheet 2 and press OK. That's it. The data will be opened in the data view tab. See here, I can see my data, case, mother's weight, infant birth weight. And this is another tab called as variable view, where the name of the variable, case number, mother's weight, infant, and what is the type of variable, whether it is numeric or string. See, these are the types available: numeric data or comma data, dot, scientific date, dollar, customer currency. Like this, various kind of data types will be available. And width of this, how many digits permissible, like this, and decimals. So here we don't have decimals, but mother's weight we have actually given as 4, but we need only 2. I kept it 2. Label. Label is a descriptive part of this label. Descriptive part means mother's weight. So I have collected this data, mother's weight, collected from so-and-so hospital with so-and-so. Everything descriptive part I can write here. That is called as descriptive. And this is values tab, where I can assign numerical values to a label. Say, for example, if one of my column consists of gender, male, female, male, female, male, female, like this, I can assign a numerical value to the male and female. Like I can assign 1, say, for example, assign 1 to the label male. So what happens, SPSS thinks that whenever there is a name called male, it will take number 1. Whenever there is female, it will take 2. Like this, I can instruct SPSS to do so. So, and what kind of measure is a scale or ordinal, like the scale or ordinal, nominal, which we discussed in the earlier slides, that can be taken here. Now, coming to the again, this is the main data view where you can do analysis. There are, if you see, there are number of tabs: file, edit, you see data. How many things you have, functions you have, define variable properties, copy properties. With this, you can do lot of analysis. Whatever kind of data you have, you can do some cleaning of the data. You can remove the missing values. You can recode the data into different values. Like this, you can transform, analyze. See, these are the main important statistical analysis part. Descriptive statistics, you can find frequencies. Frequencies means you might have learned in basic statistics. Frequencies out of total raw data, how many particular males, how many males you have, how many females you have, how many red colored, white color. Like this, frequencies also in a one single stretch you can calculate. If you see like this. Now our main objective is to find the regression analysis. Regression analysis here. So I'll go with the regression. So you can see clearly regression. And now it's a in regression also there are number of analysis like automatic linear regression, curvilinear, partial least space. There are many advanced techniques here, which is not available in Excel. So as I said earlier, in Excel you can do some part, some basic to moderate part you can do analysis. But here you can just see this multinomial, logistic, ordinal, probit, like this, some advanced techniques you can see. Even in next in R software also, more than SPSS you can go. There is no limit for the data in even in R also. Some lakhs of data you can do analysis there also. Now here regression, go to linear regression. Now here see. So what is the dependent variable? So what is the dependent variable? Infant birth weight is the dependent variable. Now what is the independent variable? Mother's weight is the independent variable. So we may have one variable or more than one variable. So independent variable. Now here there are various options. In which method you have to in regression analysis there are stepwise. I mean the calculation part. The regression concept is same, but the calculation part you can go with the enter stepwise, remove, backward, forward. There are various options. But in general, everywhere we'll do enter method unless otherwise specific or data modifications. We go with the method will be changed. And if you see here statistics. So what are the estimates you have to find? The residential, regression estimates, model fit, R squared, descriptive statistics, part and partial correlation, collinear diagnostic, Durbin-Watson, case-wise. So plenty of statistics within regression equation also you have to find. You can come do some conclusions or some inferences from this. And now press continue and just press OK. A single click. That's it. See, again you got this analysis part and output is here with you. Now the part is with you. How to do this conclusion? How to come to the conclusion? Now here also you have the R value. In the same Excel also we got, if you remember, Excel also we got 0.52 and R square 0.27, that is 27%, adjusted R square. These all values you will get. And finally, the main objective is to find the intercept and the coefficient value, which is available here. Based on this, you can find the regression equation. And with this regression equation, you can predict the values and do some conclusions. So this way you can do with the SPSS, where all analysis can be done in a single click way, like this. Now, for example, as I said, frequencies. Say, for example, I want to find the frequencies. Frequencies for what data? Say mother's weight, I want to find the frequencies. Just press, and statistics. After finding frequencies, I want a mean, I want median, I want mode, I want the sum of these values, I want skewness, kurtosis, standard deviation, whatnot. So everything you can do with this and press OK. That's it. See, this entire table gives you within a single click all the values you in front of you. And now their part is to do the analysis and conclusion from this value. And this is about the regression. Now, coming to our PPT. Hope you can see this PPT.
Yes, sir, we can see that.
Yes. So now we have seen the how to do regression analysis in Excel as well as regression analysis in SPSS. Now we can go with the next example. We have time. If we have time, we can go with the second and third examples. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So example 2, we have another data set we have here, which is like males. This is multiple regression. Before we have seen the simple regression, that is only one dependent variable, one independent variable. Here we have one dependent variable, two independent variables. So what is the point is serum cholesterol is dependent on weight and blood pressure, systolic blood pressure. So here we have one dependent variable y and we have two independent variables x1, x2. So what is the example here? To find the males that have a serious problem with serum cholesterol. In this case, you have some assumptions that their health cholesterol is related to their weight and their blood pressure. You want to look at the serum cholesterol of these patients with weight and blood pressure taken into account. Now, as I said, this is a multiple correlation. Here, the dependent variable is the serum cholesterol, and there are two independent variables, weight and systolic blood pressure. And let us see how we can do this in SPSS. Again, I'm going to SPSS. Even Excel also you can do. First, we'll go with the SPSS. Again, I'm with SPSS. I'm taking new window. So next, open. Open. I'm going to take this Excel sheet. Excel sheet. I have where SPSS for SPSS 2, right? Right. So this is the data. You can see first three columns. Sorry. Serum cholesterol, weight, and systolic blood pressure. So these are the three columns. We have this data, three values. Now, how to do this multiple regression in SPSS? So analyze, regression, linear regression.
New data screen sharing was not done.
Oh, sorry, sir. Screen sharing is not done. One second.
This is old data only.
Okay. 1 second, sir. Now, what screen you have? The same. Serum cholesterol, weight.
Mother's weight and infant birth weight. This you have to minimize and go for the other screen open.
Okay, done. Now, can you see this serum cholesterol?
Yes.
Oh, wait, okay. Now this you can see this data. Only let's look at the first three columns where you have a serum cholesterol, weight, and systolic blood pressure data, where you can analyze this data, again, multiple regression, linear regression. And what is the dependent variable here is the serum cholesterol is a dependent variable. And we have the two independent variables here. This is multiple regression, weight and BP. Now, the same concept. In the previous example, we have only one independent. Now we have two. You can go with the 10 or 20 independent variables, not an issue. But we have to clearly identify what is the independent variable and what is the dependent variable. Now going to the statistics, estimates, fit, and same will continue here, and just press OK. I'll share this output, this one. And this is the output. Can you see the output now?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
see? Yes, yeah. This is the output of this multiple regression. This is the multiple regression model summary. And see here, we have two coefficient values, one constant value and weight coefficient value and systolic blood pressure coefficient value. Now the regression equation will be y is equal to 20.692 minus 4.175 x1 plus 3.231 x2. That's it. You got the another regression equation. Now, if you have the BP and this weight, you can find a serum value, cholesterol value, and you can come to the conclusion whether it is normal or abnormal based on the general values. Okay. This one. So this is the another example we did in SPSS. Now the same can be done in the Excel also. I'll show how to do it in Excel. See, I have this data. You can see this Excel. I have the second example data where serum, weight, and systolic blood pressure data. The same way, you can go to the data tab. Data tab. You have this data analysis. You select the regression. Now here the point is which you have to select. So what is the independent variable? What is the dependent variable? Here the independent variables and dependent variables. Now we have to select this dependent variable. Dependent variable is a serum cholesterol, and independent variable, two independent variables we have. These are the two independent variables, and we have labels. Press OK, and this is the output. You can see the output and the same intercept values and coefficient values also we have the data. From this, the regression equation you can write like this: y is equal to this 18.52 something minus 4.06 x1 plus 3.2 x2, where x1, x2 are, x1 is the weight and x2 is the systolic blood pressure. So this we can do in the statistics, and from this, if you substitute the x1, new x1 and x2 value, say for example, some patient comes in with weight and BP, you can calculate his value of cholesterol, and basing on that value, whether it comes in the normal range or not. If it is in the normal range, no issues. If it is above the range, you can give some medication or some result the doctor can suggest. So in that way, we can apply this statistical analysis in a real time also. Now again, coming to my PPT slide. Yes. So that's it. My part, I explained this example also. I have another example where we have two data sets, data A and diet A and diet B. These are the gain in weights of pigs fed on two diets A and B. and we can test if they are significantly different or not. We can come to the, I mean, by using t-test, we can do this in SPSS as well as Excel also. Shall I do this also? Or shall I stop here?
You can do it, sir.
Okay, if you have any questions, and I'm ready if I can answer your intelligent questions if you have any. Any questions?
Someone read the chat box questions.
Yes.
Controller, please read chat box questions.
Yeah, someone asked the question, can we use a parametric and non-parametric test in one research? Yes, it depends on the data. Actually, if it is depends on the data. You say, for example, the last data, if you see this one, if the data is of quantitative data, you have to use the parametric statistic like T, F, ANOVA, and so on. If it is a categorical type of data, you have to use non-parametric. Categorical type of data, you have to use non-parametric. And if it is a quantitative data, you have to use parametric kind of data. Or can we use 2 or 3 tests in a single research? Yes, depends. See, single research means for a single data set, you can use multiple test statistics to get the conclusion. Yes, you can use. Depends on the data sets again. If you give some example, like I'll explain. And the third question is, how can we get SPSS software? So, as I said, SPSS software is a proprietary version you have to buy, but off the record, I can say some pirated versions are there. It is off the record. It may be around some 4 lakhs to 6 lakhs to buy. Generally, education institutes buy, and it will give for the student generally.
So delegates, are there any further questions? Please post in the chat box.
I have a small addition.
Yes, sir.
When the data is nominal or categorical, the first choice is non-parametric.
Exactly, sir.
After that, we can do hypothesis testing to see whether non-parametric agrees with parametric or not.
Yes.
That is supplementary.
Yes.
Still, if anyone has any queries, please post in the chat box. Okay, sir. I think there are no more queries. So we thank you for this session, sir. That was a very informative session about what is a statistical way to understand the research process, or what are the different softwares that are available for the research process, and how, by taking a real life examples, you have shown us how to use the regression analysis and all, which will be very informative for the students who are doing their research or who are planning to conduct their research in future.
Thank you.
1 second, sir. So in this context, we thank you, sir, for giving a very explanatory talk on
Thank you so much.
statistical analysis, and also we thank you from me on behalf of Vijay Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences for myself.
Thank you. Sir Subramanian sir, thank you. Nice to meet you, sir. Your voice is not audible, sir.
It was excellent, sir. I am very happy.
Thank you so much, sir. Yesterday I've seen your lecture, sir.
Ah, right. Thank you.
I could not see live, but after that I have seen in YouTube. Very informative, and thank you so much.
Today I purposefully will try to listen to you completely.
Oh, thank you, sir. Great.
Right, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, sir. Thank you.
So, on behalf of Vijay Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences for Women, I, Dr. S. Praveen, would like to propose the vote of thanks. So I sincerely convey my thanks to the management of SRK Foundation and Principal Madam Professor K. Parmalata Garu for giving this opportunity to coordinate this two-day webinar on research methodology and data analysis. I also thank the IIC and technical team for extending their cooperation in conducting this webinar. My heartfelt thanks to all the resource persons and Mrs. V. Vishnunandana Madam for giving the inaugural address of the two-day seminar, who have been kind enough to educate the students on the significant aspect of the contemporary relevance of the research methodology and the data analysis. So, in this, I am thankful to everyone who has made the program a success. Thank you. In a short time, feedback links will be provided. You can fill the feedback forms and you can receive your certificate. Thank you one and all for attending the webinar.
I can leave, right?
Yes, sir. You can leave, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thanks. Delegates, please wait for another 5 minutes. Feedback link will be provided in the chat box. Don't leave the meeting. Just wait for 5 minutes.